ready for a deep dive. This text has got me thinking about consciousness, creation, and maybe even some illusions.
And today, we're going deep beyond the surface. We're diving into the stories and the symbols. We'll be looking at this dialogue between some pretty intriguing figures.
Yeah, it's like we're eavesdropping on a conversation about the universe's origins. But it's also got this personal touch. We jump right in with Dharam Das, who is practically radiating awe. He says, "Your words are like nectar to me, tell me everything." What do you make of that image of nectar? Why do you think it pops up in these texts?
I think it's more than just a pretty image. That nectar symbolizes this deep thirst for knowledge, a longing for something that truly nourishes the soul. Dharam Das isn't just after trivia. He craves understanding, enlightenment. Have you ever felt that kind of yearning, that hunger for something more?
Absolutely. It's like stumbling on a book or an idea that just clicks. And suddenly the world feels a little clearer, a little brighter.
Right.
And that's where Gyan, sometimes known as Kabir, steps in. He's sent by the Purush, the true being, to awaken souls. But of course, it wouldn't be very interesting without some tension, right? That's where Niranjan comes in, and he does not seem thrilled about Gyan's arrival.
No, not at all. Niranjan embodies that resistance we often encounter, when we're trying to break free from old patterns or limited thinking.
Yeah.
He challenges Gyan's very presence. He's hinting at a clash between illusion and truth, a battle for the soul itself.
Niranjan is painted as a deceiver, holding souls captive in this cycle of suffering and ignorance. This idea of being trapped by illusion feels so incredibly relatable, even today. I mean, haven't there been times when you felt stuck, like something was holding you back from your full potential?
I think this allegory cuts to the heart of the human experience. Think about how often we limit ourselves with societal expectations, old stories we tell ourselves, or fears that keep us from stepping into our true power.
It's so true.
Niranjan's illusion thrives in those shadows.
So how do we break free? Gyan talks about the liberating power of Nam, often interpreted as divine knowledge or the true name of God, but it feels like more than just a word, right?
Exactly. Name represents this profound shift in consciousness. It's a key to unlocking a deeper understanding of ourselves in the universe. It's not like a magic spell. It's a transformation that comes from seeking truth and connecting with that underlying essence of reality.
And just as we're starting to wrap our heads around this idea, we meet another fascinating player, Kal. Now, Kal often translates to time, but he's no passive bystander in this cosmic drama. He's more like a grand architect.
Yeah.
What's your take on his role in this intricate web?
Kal represents the force of change, the ebb and flow of existence.
Yeah.
He doesn't just observe time, he shapes it.
Wow.
He's crafting these fades, these pathways for souls to find their way back to Sachkhand, the true realm. He's setting the stage for a journey of self-discovery, and it's going to be filled with twists and turns.
And to guide us through those twists and turns, he's sending in these figures called yamas, often interpreted as embodiments of death or natural law. They're woven into this intricate tapestry of yugas, Sak Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar, Kali Yuga, these cycles of spiritual ages that many Eastern traditions talk about. It's adding layers to this idea that we're all part of a much grander cosmic play.
The text really highlights how everything is interconnected, always in motion, constantly evolving. It challenges us to look beyond our limited perception of time, to see the bigger picture, the grand cycles that influence our individual journeys.
It's both humbling and awe-inspiring, especially when Kal gets incredibly specific with this vivid story about the Jagannath temple, this place of worship that's intentionally placed in a precarious position, fated to be repeatedly consumed by the ocean. What are we to make of this cyclical destruction and rebirth, this constant push and pull between creation and dissolution?
The Jagannath temple.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful symbol. It's almost as if Kal is saying, look, change is inevitable. There will be times of creation and there will be times of destruction. It's the natural order of things. But notice, the temple is always rebuilt. There's a message of resilience there, of hope amidst the ever-changing tides. How do you think this cyclical imagery relates to our own lives? Have you ever noticed similar patterns of creation and destruction? Of things ending and new beginnings emerging?
It makes me think of those moments when you think you finally got it all figured out, and then life throws a wave at you, completely upending everything. It's disorienting, and maybe even a little bit terrifying. But there's also something strangely hopeful about it. Like, even though the temple gets destroyed, it's always rebuilt, often more beautiful and resilient than before.
And that's the key takeaway, isn't it? It's not about fearing the cycles, the inevitable changes, but about understanding their rhythm, their purpose. It's about learning to ride those waves, to rebuild from the ruins, and to see each cycle as an opportunity for growth and transformation.
That's a comforting thought. And amidst all this talk of illusion and cycles, Gyan throws us a lifeline. He assures Dharam Das and perhaps us that the words of Purush, that ultimate reality, are infallible. There's a path to liberation, even when surrounded by illusion and challenge.
And it's a path we're meant to actively walk, to discover for ourselves.
It's fascinating how, this ancient text still resonates with us today. I mean, we might not be talking about Purush or succumbed every day.
Right.
But we all grapple with feeling trapped sometimes.
Absolutely. It's a universal experience. And the text, it doesn't shy away from the challenges. Remember how Niranjan is described? He's not just some distant deity. He's actively present, manipulating souls, keeping them in the dark.
Yeah, it's almost like he has a personal stake in keeping us all from realizing our true selves. In one passage, Gyan directly calls Niranjan out, accusing him of making souls forget their true nature.
Yeah, he's not holding back. Gyan accuses Niranjan of weaving this complex facade, the Vedas, the scriptures, the rituals, this entire cycle of birth and death just keeps souls trapped.
It almost makes you question everything you've ever been told. Like a sudden awareness of the way marketing tricks your brain.
Right.
Or how societal norms can unconsciously shape your thinking.
Yeah.
Once you start going down that rabbit hole, it can be hard to stop.
That's where critical thinking comes in. Gyan's arrival and his confrontation with Niranjan, it's like a call to question our assumptions, to look beyond the surface level, to ask ourselves, what if there's more to the story?
Exactly. Don't just accept things at face value. And when I think about Gyan's alternative, this idea of liberation through name, it reminds me of those moments of clarity, of deep connection where you feel this sense of peace that transcends the everyday chaos. It's almost like tapping into a different level of awareness.
It's a beautiful way to put it. And it's not about rejecting everything, right? Gyan isn't advocating for abandoning all tradition, all ritual. It's more about understanding the deeper meaning behind these things, about not mistaking the map for the territory.
Okay, so we've got this compelling allegory for the human condition, but then the text throws us another curveball. We get this incredibly vivid story about the Jagannath temple, this place of worship that Cal intentionally places in a precarious position.
It's such a striking image, right? This beautiful temple, repeatedly destroyed by the relentless power of the ocean, only to be rebuilt again and again.
I have to admit, I'm a little obsessed with this part. It's both tragic and strangely hopeful. It makes me wonder about the cycles in my own life. The things that keep coming back, the patterns I can't seem to escape. Are those cycles inevitable, or is there a way to transcend them?
And that sense of questioning, that's the real gift of this text, isn't it? It sparks something in us. It encourages us to look inward and examine our own experiences, to look at them through the lens of these ancient allegories.
To find the echoes of these cosmic themes in our own lives. And ultimately, I think that's what Gyan is trying to tell Dharam Das, and by extension, us, throughout this entire dialogue. The path might be challenging, there might be obstacles, deceptions along the way, but the truth, the way back to that true home, it's never truly lost.
It's a message of profound resilience, and it's one that Gyan reiterates even in the face of Niranjan's defiance.
So Niranjan is basically throwing everything he's got at Gyan, trying to convince him that his mission is pointless, that the souls under his dominion are too far gone. He even tries to tempt Gyan with a share of his kingdom, right?
Yeah, it's like this classic power play. Niranjan, he's blinded by his own authority. He underestimates Gyan's resolve and the power of the Purush. It's like he's offering this counterfeit of true liberation, this tempting shortcut that ultimately leads nowhere.
And Gyan sees right through it. He doesn't waver. He has this unshakable faith in the words of the Purush, and he essentially tells Niranjan, I'm going to dismantle these traps you've laid, these illusions you've woven. He even compares it to using words to undo the traps they create. It's a powerful image. What do you think he means by that?
I think it's about the power of truth to cut through deception. Gyan is saying that true knowledge, that connection to Nam, it has the ability to unravel the very fabric of illusion. It's like shining a light into darkness, revealing the hidden mechanisms that keep us bound.
It reminds me of those moments when a brilliant teacher or mentor helps you see the world in a new light. Suddenly, things that seemed confusing, overwhelming, they start to make sense.
Exactly. Gyan offers guidance and clarity, a pathway out of the darkness. And he does it with this unwavering compassion. even for Naranjan, who embodies those forces that seek to keep us trapped.
That's what's so striking about this text. It's not just some dry philosophical debate, it's a dynamic drama. A story about confronting challenges, seeking truth. And these characters, as flawed and complex as they are, they're grappling with questions that are still relevant to us today.
Absolutely. And it invites us to participate in the conversation, to find our own connections, to draw our own conclusions.
To find our own path to liberation, right? To confront the Naranjans in our own lives, to seek out the wisdom of the Purush, and maybe even discover that liberating power of name for ourselves.
Precisely. It's a journey that requires courage, curiosity, and a willingness to question everything.
This deep dive has left me with so much to think about. It's like we've just scratched the surface of this text. It's many layers.
As with any rich allegory, the real journey begins when we step back and ask ourselves, what does this story mean for me? Where do I see echoes of these themes in my own life?
What illusions might I be clinging to? Where might I find the courage to seek liberation, to embrace the power of name, whatever that might look like in my own unique journey? These are questions worth pondering.
Indeed they are, and ones we can continue to explore long after this conversation ends.